Good evening, everyone. My name is Diane Crawford, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the New York Vedanta Society, I want to tell you how happy we are to have you all here this evening to help commemorate the 150th birth anniversary of a wonderful woman by the name of Margaret Noble, who came to be known as Sister Nivedita after she met Swami Vivekananda. My job, thank you. Part of my job right now is also to ask you at this moment to please turn off all of your electronic devices, and that includes also your cameras, please. We have professionals here who are recording the whole event, and it will be up on YouTube later this week, hopefully. Anyway, so with no further ado, it is my privilege to announce that we have with us this evening the Consul General of India in New York, the Honorable Mr. Sandeep Chakraborty, who will inaugurate the conference for us. Mr. Chakraborty was India's Deputy High Commissioner in Dhaka, Bangladesh, from July 2012 to June 2015, and Ambassador of India to Peru and Bolivia from July 2015 to July 2017. In August of this year, he assumed charge as Consul General of India in New York. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Sandeep Chakraborty.
Good evening, namaskar. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Swami Sarvapriyananda, Swami Yuktakmananda, all distinguished panelists, friends. I'm a diplomat, I'm not a theologist. But coming from India and representing India is a challenge, because the assumption, at least in the West, is that all Indians are very spiritual, all Indians are vegetarians, and of course there are also other interpretations of representing India. I will not get into them, they may be controversial. But I was asking Swamiji as to that you have asked me to inaugurate this interfaith dialogue about breaking barriers. But what is the expectation? What should I say? So he just told me something that just say what you feel like. So I'm going to talk from my heart. And later on, I think the nuances and the details could be addressed by the experts. But again, coming from India, one sees religion and spirituality as part of our lives. India, as you all know, represents or is the home for many great religions. Of course, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. Also many, I should say, threads of Islam have found their sustenance in India. Sufism is thriving in India. And also Christianity reached India in the 1st century AD, which is not known to many, even before it reached Europe. And the other day we had a function in the consulate about heritage Jewish sites in India. And the history of the Jewish in India is also an incredible history. And we were happy to have the Consul General of Israel in our function. And he was saying that India is perhaps maybe the only country in the world where Jews were not persecuted. And unfortunately for us, maybe because of economic reasons and other reasons, many Jews have left India. But still we have many synagogues in India, and a small number, but still a significant number of Jews who are living and thriving in India. I would just set the ball rolling by saying that when we living in our societies, we are all belonging to various faiths and religions. I think the barriers are broken in our daily interactions when we meet, when we intermarry, when we go to school, when we go to offices. I think we hardly think about our religion when we are having the social intercourse. It is only maybe in a certain minds, and maybe I am very sure it's the minorities, in the sense minority minds, where we are talking of barriers, when the huge populations that we all represent, particularly in India, at a very functional level, I don't think those barriers matter, and we are, especially the Indian state, is working very hard to break those barriers. India, as you know, is an old civilization, and some of our religious practices have created certain social structures which have been very difficult to break. And one of our problems has been with the concept of caste, where rather than being only related to economic profession, it had some other interpretations and other problems. But I think the state of India is trying very hard to break those barriers, and by law and by affirmative action, we are trying to break the barriers of caste and religion in India. But I think India is a huge laboratory for interfaith dialogue. It's a huge laboratory for breaking barriers, and I think a very proactive action is going on in India, and we are breaking the barriers in India in our day-to-day activities and lives. Talking of Sister Nivedita, it's a very happy occasion that precisely 150 years after her birth, we have assembled here to pay homage to her. And I think Sister Nivedita's life is also an inspiration to all of us, because she belonged to Ireland, a woman, and her contribution to India's spiritual life, to India's freedom struggle, is something which we are all proud of. And from childhood, we are all told about her contribution, and I think Sister Nivedita perhaps is more well known in India than in Ireland. And it's such a happy news that you gave us, Swamiji, that Vedanta Center will be set up in Dublin. I will also say that today religion faces challenges, particularly formal and theology faces challenges, because one is a problem of coexistence of various religions and question of tolerance. I think in all societies there is this question of tolerance, whether how tolerant we are to others who don't belong to our religion or our caste. That is one issue. But I think religion also has to address the issues of women, because I think that has been neglected too far. And I think Sister Nivedita is a prime example of how women can contribute, because women are half of humanity, but I think they are much more than that. And all religions have an issue with women. For instance, many religions don't accept women as priests. Many women have restrictions on women. I think unless we are able to, as society, address those issues, unless religion is able to address those issues, I think we will face a crisis in the coming years. And also there are issues related to abuse, I think, which all of us have to be very sensitive, because I think even that has not been addressed by the religious institutions, and that hurts people, and that is preventing a lot of young people to accept religious indoctrination. The other question which I would address before ending is, in today's world, when there is a lot of divisiveness, when there is a lot of what should I say, intolerance and violence, I think the message of all religion, although we all say the core message of all religions are the same, I think somewhere it disappears, and somewhere we are all trying to say that we belong to different religious faiths, and our religion is better, and the other, we're trying to play down the other. I think that is again a problem with the religious discourse, and I think unless we address that at a very basic level, I will see that the young generations will not. I think there is a problem in young people attending church all over the world. When I say church, I don't mean only the Christian church. All over the world, you don't find people attending religious congregations. I think we have to address these issues of how we treat the other, because at one level, maybe in historic times, religion was a unifying force, but today many people see religion as a divisive force. I think we have to address those issues. And I am saying this because, as a diplomat in my political work, I find these issues coming up again and again. And particularly in the Indian context, it's very relevant. And I think in the international context, it is very relevant. And the message of Swamiji 125 years ago in Chicago is so relevant in today's world. And I think if in today's panel discussion, if you're able to address some of these issues of how religion is treating divisiveness, how religion is treating women, how religion is treating issues of abuse, I think we will do great service to humanity. I'm not an expert on religious matters, but I just try to say what I feel when I live my life as an ordinary citizen of India, as a diplomat. I feel that these issues bother all of us, and I think we need to address them. Otherwise, there will always be this question mark in our minds, whether religion is a unifying force or a divisive force. Thank you very much, Swamiji, for inviting me.